Hello, Greg from Balloon Market here, and welcome to BMTV. This week we have a new guest. Well, it's kind of a new guest. We met Stuart a couple of years ago when he did his big build, but this is Stuart Davis. Stuart, welcome to Balloon Market and BMTV. Thank you for doing this. Right, today I think we need to get to know you a little bit.
Okay.
Share with the BMTV nation how you got into the industry, who you are, and some of the amazing things that you've done. Okay. And then I see you've got some stuff here, but you're going to show us something a little bit later. So to start with, tell us a little bit about your journey and how you got into the industry and how long ago that was.
5.5 years ago, I first touched a balloon.
Yeah.
Literally. And it was basically down to the fact that my business was failing, my family business was failing.
All right.
And we were looking for something that would enable us to compete against the internet, compete against competitors that were pinching ideas.
What was that family business?
It was a newsagent's small gift card shop.
Yeah.
But it was virtually bankrupt, if I'm being honest.
Wow.
If the partners had been paid anywhere near national minimum wage, we just wouldn't have been able to afford to run anymore.
Wow.
But things are a lot better now, and about 70% of our turnover is balloons now.
So you consciously made the decision to move to balloons?
Yeah, we looked at a number of products that we were selling within the shop. We were already selling balloons, but only about £8 or £10 a week. We were selling £2.50 18-inch balloons, same as most people. And then I got in touch with Qualitex. I saw the QBN course. Yeah. I got the QBN course. I tried the 3 online courses over a period of a week, which a lot of people say, how could you do that? Well, it was a priority for me to actually transform the business, so I needed to be putting the time and the effort into it. And then a gentleman called Jag Dillon came out. A lot of people know, and he demonstrated what I'm going to demonstrate to you today. And I still fundamentally think this design that I'm going to demonstrate today is the reason why we are successful 5 years later.
Wow. So you put it all down to effectively a single design, how you've turned your business around.
An understanding of that design and why that design is successful in a pricing sense, in a profit sense, in a manufacturing sense.
So you've got the shop. It is mainly balloons that you do, but you still do other things, gifts, cards, etc.
Yeah.
So is it cards you do as well?
Cards, gifts, cards. We prioritise balloons now. As I said, we've gone from what was £500,000 newsagent's business. The turnover is massively reduced, but now balloons make up 70% of our actual turnover.
Yeah.
So it's been a huge transformation in the last 5 years.
But your profit, I assume, has increased.
Our profit has probably doubled about 250% in the last 5 years.
Wow.
So because of balloons.
So that's amazing. You took the business that was there, and it would have been very easy, I guess, this is failing, let's just close. And you looked at what had the most profit margin in it and made a decision based on that. Yeah,
it was partly profit margin, but also partly, we are against the internet in everything that we do. If you're in a high street store, or if you're a home decorator, you're still competing against the high street and the internet. So looking at how we would develop ourselves to become a gift shop that use balloons as its primary way of providing a gift to an individual for a special occasion.
And it's clearly worked.
It has.
But it's not just the shop that you do, because to be fair, you've not been in the industry that long.
No.
And I have to say, what you've achieved is pretty meteoric. I've never used that word before, meteoric. That's quite good, but it is. You've become known in the industry. You do these big jobs. I'm not bigging you up. Well, I am bigging you up a little bit. But you do these big builds, and we obviously came to visit you a couple of years ago when you were doing a big build in your hometown, literally just around the corner from your shop. And yeah, you do some amazing stuff. And now, obviously, you're a Qualitex instructor, all in that short period of time. So how?
One simple thing, you mentioned the big balloon build you came and saw us 18 months ago. That was one of our techniques, is what I call baby steps.
Okay.
And we started the big balloon build 4 months after we started in balloons.
Yeah.
And it was part of the vision that to develop ourselves, we needed to be pushing ourselves. So the first big balloon build was about 1,000 balloons, which to us at the time was like 1,000 balloons.
Well, 4 months in as well. Come on, you must have still been figuring it all out.
Yeah, but we were also figuring it out as part of that strategy is that fundamentally to get to any point in a plan, you need to have steps to be able to get to that. So all we do as a business is work out where we want to be and then work backwards and do the baby steps to get to that point. We don't concentrate on the end goal. We just concentrate on the footsteps to that end goal. Sometimes the goal will change. Things come along like Disney and UEFA, which kind of throws you in different directions. Yeah. But fundamentally, as a business, you're moving forward.
So you took this on. Did you go out and find this job? Did you pitch it, or did they come to you?
I pitched it to a local community council. Basically, we don't make any money out of the big balloon build. And the first year, we had a budget of about £250, £300. We invested our own time into it. But what that helped us to do was grow as a business, because we were able to try creative ideas that if we'd have gone to a client would have been impossible to undertake. Yeah. And then each year we grow and grow. And then the last year we 45,000 balloons, 2 days, 35 balloon artists, some from America. And they all invest in this. So it's kind of like like a cooperative. Yeah. So I'm directing this idea, this project, and then everybody invests a small amount in it, which pays for the materials, the time, the venue, etc. And then we just try some crazy stuff.
45,000 balloons. I struggle to imagine that. I mean, we sell a lot of balloons, but to put them all together in one creation just blows my mind. That's fantastic.
Well, you saw the picture of the last event with and we were talking about the backdrop earlier, and the backdrop alone was a quick link balloon wall, but it was 35 feet high and 120 foot wide, and it was about 13,000 balloons.
Just for a backdrop.
Just for a backdrop.
But it made the difference, because when I looked at that photo, I just thought, compared to the one that we saw the year before, because you couldn't see any of the block work, you couldn't see any bricks, it was just this magical background. Yeah, it was fantastic.
And that's the power that balloons have, and the power that we have as artists within this industry, is to transform venues, transform events. Yeah. Plus, we haven't got the health and safety issues, because the 14,000 balloons probably weighed something in the region of 8 or 10 pound. Yeah. So you don't have the issues that you would have with other materials in the event industry.
Yeah, if it falls down on you, I'm under a wall of balloons. Yeah.
But the chances of it falling down are slim to non-existent, because there's hardly any weight. Yeah. So
you mentioned Disney there. So how did Disney happen? Because that's a big corporate entity. How on earth did that happen?
That happened I supported someone in Qualtex to develop a piece of work, and we were talking about Disney, and they invited me to a meeting. Disney liked some of the ideas that I presented to them. I fundamentally told them what they were doing wasn't right. Sometimes you can't sit back and as a designer, you were there to challenge people as well, and challenge your client to do things in a different way, do things better. So I demonstrated a video of a Disney parade in San Francisco, and they were excited by that. And I said, well, you don't want to do it like this. And I took a video of a really good balloon artist in Chicago, Tommy DiLorenzo, and he's famous for his Pride events. And I showed them the work he did in Chicago in 2016, and they were blown away. And then I sat down and I explained to them why their parade wasn't exciting and why his parade was exciting, and not using helium balloons, ensuring that everybody has some sort of balloon to hold or be involved in the parade makes a huge difference. We went through that process with them. They liked it, and then we just, as you should do with any client, you build the relationship from there. So yes, the one first event got us in, but then we've worked with them about 20-25 times since.
And they like you, clearly. Well, you've built that relationship.
Yeah, and it is, whatever industry you're in, it is about relationships. It is about building relationships, true relationships with people, and developing those.
So I've got a question about that, and one of the things, particularly with larger jobs, people struggle with pricing. They're not too sure. I'm going to assume you were not charging £150 for your time. No. I'm going to assume that you charged a lot more than that.
Yes.
And some people, I feel, would be a bit frightened of doing that. What would you say to those people?
So was I.
Okay, yeah.
You know, if I go back 5 years ago, my average customer in my shop was £2.79. I know this because I had an EPOS system and they told me. Mm-hmm. And we would be selling a Sun newspaper to someone for 50p, mm-hmm. and we would make 10p from that. Yeah. So then going from 50p, £1 sales to £1,000, £10,000, £20,000 jobs was a huge leap for us. But it fundamentally comes down to using the same principles and just scaling it up.
Yeah.
You know, in the same when you're planning that work, is understanding how long one piece will take to make, timesing it by 50.
So that's a really good point about the time it takes. So I guess you add in your costs of, I assume you've got to do some sort of investigation, some sort of trials. You've got to try these things out if you've never done them before, and you incorporate all that into your price.
Yeah, so for instance, the UEFA wings that we created for UEFA and Millie Bobby Brown quite recently, we estimated it was about 5 days worth of design in that, and probably about a day or two of actually build and change. Yeah. So we would price that as a commission rather than an individual piece. Yeah. There is a bit more guesswork involved when you've got an artistic commission compared to set designs, but it's very similar.
That's interesting there, actually, because you've mentioned decorators, you've mentioned artists, I think you've mentioned something else that I can't remember. What's the difference? How are you defining if you're an artist? A lot of people call themselves balloon artists, a lot of people call themselves balloon decorators. What's your take on what we are in the industry?
I think you are what you want to be, but if I was looking at it scientifically, then the majority of people in the balloon industry are manufacturers.
Okay.
We take raw product and we create something from it in the same way that a car manufacturer would, an electrician, a plumber, a bricklayer. Yeah. They take items and they create something. Yeah. And that's what I use as my fundamentals for pricing, etc., and how to run my business, is the fact that we are manufacturers first and foremost.
That's a really interesting analogy, because very few people would, in our industry, I think, would call themselves a manufacturer.
And I think that's where a lot of people go wrong with regards to their pricing and how they run their businesses. And that is what this demonstration today is partly about, is to talk about how I would see this within my own business as a manufacturer. When we did the UEFA wings, I would say we were still manufacturers, but within an element of artistry within it. You know, if you look at florists, a florist is a floral artist. Yeah. So probably if you're looking at most people, you should say balloonist. Yeah. But whether you're retail or home decorator, I would say manufacturing is probably the greatest skill you could learn, the manufacturing process and the skills that come from that. And that's where I would say the majority of balloon businesses, whether they're individual people or big companies, fail. Yeah. Because they don't look at those manufacturing processes.
Okay, so that's what you're kind of going to demonstrate and talk a little bit about here. I want to come back to the training side of it, because we mentioned that you're a Qualitex trainer, so I want to come back to that as you're doing this. Okay. And talk a little bit about this training that you're going to be doing right here. Yes. So we'll talk about that as we go. So, okay, so let's take that manufacturing mindset. Okay. And tell us what you're going to do with this.
Okay, I've got 5-inch wild berry, 5-inch pink, and I have a deco bubble, elegant roses, butterflies, happy birthday 11-inch, and I've already made a water weight. I've got a 260 and some tulle, and I'm just going to make a standard deco bubble, an elegant deco bubble.
Okay, so this is what you were saying you do in your shop. This is the standard thing. People come in, and do you offer them a choice of every deco bubble? Do you offer them a choice of colours? Do you spend time with them to establish what it is they want?
I think you need to spend a certain amount of time with individuals, but one of the things that I find strange in our industry is that we try to provide people with too much choice. Mm-hmm. And there's two major problems with that. One, you confuse the person, such to the point that they're actually looking at you and they come into you for advice. Yeah. And then you give them 50 options. Yeah. Or we can have this one, you can have this one, you can have the wide one, you could have pink, blue, purple, etc., etc. Whereas if you went to a florist and you said, you know, it's my wife's birthday, she likes turquoise, the first question a florist would ask is, how much do you want to pay? 30, 40 or 50 pounds? Yeah. You go to the florist because they are the person that knows how to make a bouquet. You are just set in the terms of the budget, which is something that the majority of people miss in the balloon industry. We become more caught up with the potential choices that the balloons give us, which is why I like the deco bubble, because fundamentally whether I'm making this for an 18th birthday, or a 7-year-old's birthday party, or a golden anniversary, or a born baby, it's got exactly the same materials, just in different colours and different styles, which means I can make that design faster and faster every time I make it. And that's our go-to design, because we know we can get really quick at it. We know it's a really nice design. And we know that we can make a certain amount of money on it.
And at the end of the day, just using what I can see you're going to use, it's different. So you're not going to go into, I know a lot of people talk about Morrison's, Card Factory, etc. You're not going to go into one of those and get one of these. Yeah. But yet, you're probably faster at doing this than Morrison's would be
doing
inflating
an 18-inch balloon. Yeah.
Okay, so I think, so the point you're making here, I assume, is about the amount of time you're spending on it.
And that's the important thing, is the manufacturing process. Time is critical. Time is the key thing. You've got a finite amount of time as a business owner. Yep. Whether that's one person or you have 100 people, you still have a finite amount of time, and you need to make a certain amount of money each week to be profitable. If your time is being spent on other things and you're not actually making the right amount of money for the balloons you sell, or the time you put into balloons, then you're not going to be a profitable business. Yeah. What I'm going to demonstrate with this is how much you could potentially make if all you was doing was making these balloons. Now, if we use the job costing method, which is a standard pricing structure in the industry, then people will understand that pricing and how they can extrapolate that across. Okay, if I was doing all of these in one day, how much money could I make? And this is why I say to balloon people, if you were doing more than 8 or 10 hours of balloons a week, you should be earning a good amount of money. Yeah, yeah. If you're not, is your pricing wrong? Is your manufacturing processes wrong? Or what are you doing within those processes that are changing those parameters that you're not making the money you should be making?
So you're saying if you were to, this design here, if you were doing that for 10 hours a week, I mean constantly, so for 10 hours, you should be making a decent amount of money. So that's not making one, sitting down, you know, having a cup of tea.
No, you just...
So you're talking about if
like
you were to do this all day.
Yeah, and I appreciate running a business, you will do accounts and you will have customers, etc. But if you said, of my 40 hours that I'm putting into my business this week, I want to be making 10 hours of balloons. Yeah. If you use the simple deco bubble as an example, then you should be, you know, a deco bubble retails for about $16.99. Some people are more expensive, some people are slightly less expensive than that. For me, we're probably about 10% above the retail price, because that's the kind of shop that we are. Okay. But at $16.99, I could probably make 8 to 10 in an hour, which is £140 to £160 turnover. 7 hours, I could be making £1,100 turnover. Yeah. Now, the same principle should go for organics, or, you know, a mini centerpiece, or whether you're putting a huge super shape or a 30-inch balloon. If you were job costing and you're job costing appropriately, it shouldn't matter what you're making. if you were doing 7 to 10 hours of balloons a week, you should be turning over £1,300 to £1,400 for that. If you agree with me that £16.99 is an appropriate price for a deco bubble.
Okay, so we need to know how quickly you can do this, because you say you can do how many in an hour? 10 an hour?
Yeah.
So you're looking at 6 minutes.
Yeah, approximately.
And you've got me here
talking to
irritating you.
Yeah.
So I hope I'm not irritating
you. No,
we're chatting. So I'm going to get my phone. And the challenge is we've never done this before, never had a timed challenge, so I'm quite excited about it. Let me find my timer on my phone. Should we count down to 6 minutes to see if you achieve it, or should we just time it? Let's just time it. I don't want to put too much pressure on you.
Put more pressure on me, Greg.
Okay. So, I will be talking to you because I can't stand here for 6 minutes just watching you. So, or however long it takes. So, over to you then, Stu. Let's see. I'm going to hit the start button. Go.
So what we're doing is we're going to create a base. The bottom of the base I'm using wild berry. There'll be 3 pumps. That's a good start. I would be quicker using, obviously, a
digital inflator.
A digital inflator, which is what we would use in the shop.
Yeah. Well, the excuses are coming out already, aren't
they? The excuses are coming out already.
I'll point out we're not actually doing this as a how-to show, so Stuart is trying to get through it. You can watch and learn, and I guess slow it down, or if you want to, on YouTube. But it's a challenge, and so, most of these techniques are already available on BMTV, Balloon Basics, or a previous BMTV show. So there we have a base, 5 balloon base.
And then 2 pumps for the next layer, using pink. And then we use a triplet, again 2 pumps. Pressure's on already.
Yeah. Do you feel under pressure, or is this just the day job? This is just.
Well, the thing is, if you keep doing the same design over and over again, you will get quicker at doing that design. And that's the important thing of the manufacturing process, is you can actually talk, you can do this without thinking because of muscle memory.
Yeah, look, you're not even looking at it.
So you wouldn't even think about what you're doing, because this is something that you would do a huge amount of time. So I take my tool.
Yeah.
And yes, I have pre-cut the tool, but I'll place that to one side. So for the collar on the top, we're using 4 balloon clusters.
Yeah.
So we've got a duplet 2 pumps, and we use, we use the same on the other colour. And again, if you were using a digital machine, it could be 0.3, 0.4, 0.5.
And of course you can pre-prepare these if you know you're going to have pink combinations and blue combinations or any other combination. I guess you could prepare a few in advance.
That's a great thing within the shop as well, and that's why I love the deco bubble. This design in the shop would stay up for 4 or 5 weeks.
Yeah. Which
means I don't have to go wasting staff time changing displays all the time.
Yeah. Do you get the staff to do a challenge like this?
Constantly.
So do you time them?
Yes.
Excellent.
We'll have bad comments on the YouTube now. My staff, he's horrible, he makes us do these things.
Well, you are related to some of your staff, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm related to most of my staff.
Yeah.
Okay. I forgot one thing, which is a straw, so this is going to slow me down a little.
Have we got one?
No, that's okay. It's cool.
Oh, look at that. Magic. Done it without a straw.
But again, it's about picking up techniques that are going to improve your speed when you do things. So I probably lost about 20 odd seconds there.
You're at 3 minutes 41.
I'm going to do this under 5 minutes. So we're inflating a deco bubble, and we want to inflate it so it's about the wrinkles, if you can see, at about 1 inch off either side of the seam.
Yep.
Then we're going to take the the trigger gun and place it inside the 11-inch. And then we're going to take a 260, take the air out of it, which I've partly done. People didn't see me knotted it. It doesn't really need to be knotted at that.
Because you've taken the air out
and I was doing it as I was going along, which saves time.
So do you ever have deco bubbles going down when you do it this technique?
No.
Do it this way.
And then we take the nozzle and we feed it around the knot of the 260 and pull it tight.
Okay.
We take the collar, we wrap it through. I'm going to be tidy and cut the 260 off.
Should we put that on the floor?
Yeah, we put that on the floor. And then just to tidy up, because I'm not rushing, I'll demonstrate that up here. And I can still see I got time.
We're only at 5 minutes 20. You were going for 6 minutes, so.
There you go.
I love what you were saying earlier on about a 5-inch balloon. You dropped a 5-inch balloon on the floor and you said it was not worth your time, literally. Well, don't do it now. Literally.
To pick it up
when you're looking at your hourly rate or whatever it is.
That's I'm looking at the cost of materials against my time. This would be more expensive dusting it off and putting it back in the box than just leaving it on the floor. Not that I would leave it on the floor.
I know, you'd pick it up.
I would pick it up.
But anyway, there you go. So that's, I didn't stop it, but that was probably about 5.5 minutes. And you're saying that from a commercial point of view, that's what you want to be doing.
5.5 minutes. So for argument's sake, 6 minutes. So that means I can make 10 of those in an hour. At $16.99 is $169.99 an hour. Times for 7 hours. That's 7, 9.
Quite a lot.
Yeah, it's
I'm not even going to try.
990 quid.
Okay, yeah.
Gross profit would be somewhere in the region of, I would say, £700, £680 gross profit for one day's work. Now, people will argue, yeah, but the customers will come in, that's fine. I've only got 1 day doing balloons.
Yeah.
I've made £1,000.
Yeah, yeah.
I got 4 days to run my business, to sell them, to market, to do social media, etc., 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 etc.
Yeah.
Yes, you can use other designs, but fundamentally, you should look at, if I was doing that design, how much would it make me if I was selling it through the day? And some designs, even though the job costs are the same way, will have different profit margins. And that's why I say to someone, if you were doing 10 hours of balloons a week, you should be turning over £1,700.
Yeah.
And you should be taking about a £1,200 gross profit from that.
Yeah.
And whether that's organics or whether that's aeropols, whether it's large super shapes, that is what a balloon business is supposed to be about.
Yeah.
Reducing the amount of techniques you use so you become faster at what you do. Reduce the amount of offerings you give to people.
That's what I was thinking earlier on, actually, when you mentioned that, is that think of Gordon Ramsay, and the first thing he does when you see him on TV going into a restaurant that's failing, they've got a menu of, I don't know, 80, 90, 100 items, and they take it down to 12, 10, 15, whatever. Yeah. And that's what you want to be doing, because you know how to do that, and you can repeat it and repeat it and repeat it, and you get faster. So.
And with this design, I could have used the stars decker bubble. We could have had a blue happy birthday, could have blue and red. You got 70, 80 colours within the Qualitex range. You got X amount of printed balloons you can use on the inside, 18, 16, 30.
There's something for everybody, for every single occasion.
And that for me should be a go-to balloon. But then reducing your range so that you've got a range that would start, say, at 12 to 15 pound, then you've got a 20 pound item, say 25, 35, 45. And that would be my bottom of the range. Yeah. That would be a quick, easy get-out sale. Yeah. And it's about educating your customer about this is what we offer.
Yeah.
good-looking designs that are made easily, they'll last a long time, because the quality also comes from the time that balloon display will stay up.
Yeah.
This will stay up like 4-5 weeks easily.
Yeah, yeah.
And what you want is your customer coming back and complaining about when your balloons go down, which is the biggest complaint in our shop, is how long before your balloons go down, because they just seem to stay up forever. It's said it in a joking fashion, but it just demonstrates the quality of the balloons and the products.
But then they'll come back to you because of the quality, and they know it's going to last.
Yeah.
So when you were demonstrating that, I have to say, you definitely, I think you naturally were just explaining what you were doing, talking about the creases, all of that. And that, I said, have you always been good at that? And is that how you became a trainer for Qualitex? Because that's very much training. You're just describing what you're doing and making it very clear for people.
I haven't made one of those in 5 weeks.
Okay.
I haven't worked in the shop for 5 weeks. But my background is in the voluntary sector. So one of the things that I used to do was have to try and influence people to change the way in which they worked, so it would impact on the lives of blind and partially sighted people. So I'm not sure. I think it's something that I've just picked up along the way, that explaining things, making them simple to understand is key. Business isn't difficult. Balloons are not difficult. What we do is make it difficult by trying to skip stages.
Yeah.
So we try to do the most complex things first without getting the foundations right. For me, the foundations are the principle and elements of the design, and then the fundamentals around how the balloons work, what can they do, and they are your building blocks, and working up from there. The same with business. Business isn't difficult. It's made difficult by the millions of business books that you see out there. Fundamentally, marketing, business, accounting, they are quite simple processes. People just make them difficult.
What is it they say? They're simple, but they're not easy, because you've got to get it right.
I think the hardest thing out there is consistency. So people know what to do, they just don't do it.
Yeah.
If you stand behind your counter and are expecting customers to come into you, you're not going to be successful.
Yeah.
You need to get out, you need to communicate, you need to build relationships,
Yeah.
you need to network with people. That is an easy thing to do for some people. But the more you do it, the baby steps, the easier it becomes. The same with balloons. That process, I didn't even have to think about it, because we've done that process so many times within our shop. I could do that blindfolded.
Yeah. So coming back to the training, the Qualitex training, you are a Qualitex trainer now.
Okay.
They obviously liked something about you. What was it that they liked, that they made you a Qualitex trainer?
I don't know, maybe they just did it to shut me up, so
I
could stop talking.
Right.
I think it's the business side.
Because aren't you the first new trainer in 10 years or something like that?
I think it's 6 or 7.
Right, sorry, I'm exaggerating.
The last one before me was Keith and Dom, I think.
Okay, all right.
So look how old they are. Had to go on.
There you go, guys. You old men. They're going to love you for that. Yeah, good luck with that. So you became a Qualitex trainer. They obviously like something about you. I'd go so far as saying it's probably to do with your passion and enthusiasm and your focus on the business side of things and the manufacture, the way you're describing us as manufacturers in this industry. It makes sense. So, which leads me smoothly on to the training that you're going to be doing here. So you and a guy called Matt Lewis.
Someone has to take him.
Yeah, I know. But yes, you did the grand tour with Matt last year, and you went around the country, and you went to various venues, and it was a great success.
Yeah.
So you decided to do it again.
We have. Yeah.
And you're going to come here this time.
It's painful, but I'll have to do it, I think.
I say somebody's got to take care of it.
Yeah. We come in here, in August.
August the 9th, I believe it is. I think it is, yeah. We'll put it on the screen.
Yeah. And like last year, what we are trying to focus on is making things simple for people.
Okay.
So again, simple designs that are going to make money, but are impactive. So a lot bigger than these designs. The morning session will be looking at building framework for a number 1 and a 3-dimensional love.
3-dimensional?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll have some pictures coming out over the next couple of weeks, I think. Very easy to make. We're going to make everything simple and straightforward. We take into account whether you work with a mini or a large van, that all our designs could work with your business, whether you're shop-based, home-based, whether you're able to do framing or not. We'll be able to teach you from the simple basics up to delivering these 4 or 5 foot pieces into a wedding or an event.
Okay, all right. Oh, it sounds exciting. But we will be talking more about this in a completely separate show, so you'll find out more. Stuart, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for coming in and doing this. But as a guest, I'm sorry, I've not reminded you. Every time you get to ask everybody the question of the week, and they leave the comments down below. I don't do it on purpose, I have to say. I just genuinely forget to warn everybody. Is there a question you'd like to ask everybody out there in BMTV land that they can leave a comment? It can be anything at all.
It doesn't have to do with
We've had favourite chocolate bars before, but it can be anything. What would you like to know?
Put someone on the spot, Greg.
I know, I do apologise. I'm very, very bad at this.
Where is everybody going on holidays this year?
Nice one. Okay. Nice one. Where are you going on your holidays this year? Leave your comments down below on Facebook and on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing, and I'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.